What is going on, beautiful people? Hope you're well. Welcome to another video. I am here at Flow Fitness in Seattle. Myself and Ben, one of Ben's old athletes, Blue, Guam 100-meter record holder. Niche, but I love that. He's basically sorted us out with a couple of passes for the next few days. Guys, I'm 34. I've been on the road a hell of a lot over the last few days. So one of the things that I want to showcase in my upper body session today is to share with you a couple of tips for basically staying nice and fit and healthy in your 30s. And there are a couple of different things, a couple of different tweaks on a normal kind of conventional training program that you might find online that I think are really help guys that are kind of 30 plus stay fit and healthy and doing it in the right way. And a couple of absolutely paramount kind of fundamentals that I think are going to work. I'm doing an upper body session today, and it is those tips that I'm going to share with you over the next kind of 10-15 minutes. Hope you enjoy. But for now, as I was in the car for about 6 hours yesterday, it's only 10:15 in the morning. Obviously got to start with a good comprehensive warm-up, and it looks a little something like this. Okay, so as you know, warm-ups, as far as I'm concerned, need to have three main objectives and three main kind of sections, basically. The first one is just a general bit of warming, which you've seen on the rower. The second one is a little bit of kind of like whole body mobility. Even if I'm doing an upper body session, which I am today, I like to do some kind of like hip and hamstring and kind of lower back work, just to kind of feel nice and mobile. And the third section of my warm-up is just to make sure that I stay kind of nice and athletic. Try to keep the impact fairly low, but do something that's just going to keep me kind of nice and primed and nice and powerful. So do some high knees, do some quick lunges, do some work around my shoulders. But that's the third and final stage of the warm-up, and that is what we're going to do now. Now there's the warm-up done, beautiful people. So again, general warming section. We then have kind of the mobility bit. I need to do a little bit more kind of banded stuff on my shoulders, so I guess I'm not completely done with the warm-up. And the third and final section is kind of an innovation phase where I just do some stuff that's fairly low impact, obviously some high knees in there, but just keep yourself flipping moving. And that is actually my first kind of first tip of the day on how to train and kind of look after your body and keep yourself athletic, strong, fit, healthy, everything as you go into your 30s. Is to make sure that you're still including some kind of athletic component in there. And I think as part of the warm-up is a really good way, because you need to kind of warm up anyway. So making sure that you do something that's fairly quick, fairly snappy, but not, I mean, you're not doing flipping depth jumps or anything, but anything that is like even some of those ballistic lunges that you saw a minute ago, they're just gonna help a lot with keeping the tissues nice and elastic. And it is that elasticity that tends to go as you become a little bit more solid and potentially strong as you get into your 30s. But obviously we want to all stay functional, we want to all stay athletic, and keeping that level of kind of that ballistic nature and that elasticity in the tissues is kind of a great way to do that. So a little bit of banded stuff on my shoulders now to make sure that everything around kind of my rib cage and my shoulder gird is nice and mobile, and then we'll get on to some heavy lifting. Shoulders are warm now after doing some scap retraction stuff and some banded work. Now onto the meaty stuff, onto the weightlifting. So my first main tip for staying kind of healthy, injury-free, powerful, strong, everything that we want to be when we're kind of 30 plus, is to increase the eccentric tempo on your main lift. So most people, if they're doing some kind of functional bodybuilding, gym enthusiasm routine, they're going to have a main lift of the day, a main compound lift. That's the way that most of us work, even if you're doing a split routine, push-pull legs, upper, lower, full body, whatever it may be. Today, so I do upper, lower, I switch that way. I'm doing an upper body session. My main lift is going to be some incline bench press, and I'm going to make sure that I have a 4-second eccentric tempo taking the bar down. That's kind of half of the first kind of main teaching point for today. The second bit is that it has to be at full range as well. That's kind of what we want to make sure that we do to keep our joints healthy. In our peak, in our 30s, I prefer to look at it that way. The second part of it is to make sure that we've got that we introduce some pauses. So I'm going to have a 4-second eccentric tempo, a little bit of a pause, and then drive up from there. And you might think, well, that might mean that really slow tempo down might mean that I'm not able to kind of lift as much in theory, but the good news is you adapt to that 4-second eccentric, and you adapt to having a pause extremely quickly, to the degree that the amount of weight that you're lifting for 4 seconds down and then like a rough pause and then up, if you say you're doing 6 reps, compared to just banging out 6 reps as quick as you can, the chances are in a couple of weeks the weight's going to be very, very, very flipping similar. And the other benefit is increasing that eccentric tempo and forcing yourself to have a 4-second eccentric is an amazing way to build muscle, because you actually shred more muscle fibers on the eccentric, on the downward phase, than on the upward phase on the concentric. This is why a lot of like American footballers and stuff, the coaches, when they want their athletes to get big and kind of bust through a bit of both the strength and the size plateau, one of the things they do is basically just go through an entire training phase, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it may be, where they focus primarily on that eccentric tempo. So I'm going to do some incline bench, 4-6 reps. I'm going to make sure that it's 4 seconds on the way down, a brief pause on the chest, and then up from there. Let's see how I get on.
Are you ready to see somebody's need for speed? I can put our wings in the wind faster than you could ever believe. Are you ready to rock? Fun that don't ever stop. We are on a crash course of freedom that's running on as long as we want. Drive fast, let go. Hands up, wind blows.
Okay, good. So I'm primed, I'm ready to go. The second thing that I'm going to say about kind of how to structure your functional kind of bodybuilding, functional strength and fitness sessions, again applying that map overlaid onto upper body today, is just kind of one of the rules, kind of just an extra little hack. So obviously I'm doing incline bench. Whenever I do flat bench or incline, one of the things I really like to do in addition, got some dumbbells down there, actually before I do my set of bench, about a minute before, it's kind of a superset, kind of a little primer, actually do some bent over rows or some kind of row variation. And the reason for that is, in addition to obviously kind of working your pull levers and keeping everything balanced and symmetrical, having your pull movement being completed first, I said this in a couple of previous videos, it's just a really, really, really flipping good way of making sure that your shoulder girdle is effectively nice and tight, all the muscles around the shoulder blade and your lats are kind of firing appropriately, and it almost makes the push move, well not almost, it makes the push movement easier and safer, because everything kind of feels locked in as opposed to feeling as though your shoulders kind of super loose. So it's not really an extra rule, just an extra little hack kind of overlaid onto what exactly we're doing today. So I'm going to do one of those sets, and then within about 60 seconds, then I'll be moving into my working sets with bench. Check this out.
Are you ready to see somebody's need for speed? I can put our wings in the wind faster than you could ever believe. Are you ready to rock? Fun that don't ever stop. We are on a crash course of freedom that's running on as long as we want. Drive fast, let go. Hands up, wind blows. Soundtrack, stone cold. Sit back and turn So are you ready to rock? Well, it don't ever stop. We are on a crash course of freedom, and we can go as long as we want. Yeah. Drop fast, let go. Hands up, wind blows. Soundtrack, stone cold. We sit back and turn it up. Like here we go. Calling all my friends for us. Revving up the engines. We ain't going nowhere slow. Fast cars and wild hearts, a better life. Headed to the top, you see us. Trying to be the best, no secret. Never touch the brakes to keep it. Fast cars and wild hearts, a better life. I'm calling all my friends for us.
There's incline bench done. That is my rows before the incline bench done. If you were watching carefully, you would notice that I did not do 6 reps. On any of my 3 working sets, I did 5. And even on the last round, rep 4 was going up slow. I was like, bloody hell, I don't even know if I'm going to get a 5th out. But I'm ambitious, and I consider it a good thing. So, there we go, controlling that eccentric, guys. It will flip and get you the first rep or 2. You'll be like, this is fine. But the total amount of time under tension, the total amount of time that you're holding the bar is so much longer because you're saying strict to that eccentric. So a really, really good tool is make it like look at a clock or kind of have someone counting, because the chances are by the end of the round, what you believe 4 seconds is not going to be what 4 seconds is. You're going to be rushing it. But that bit is done. Now we are moving on to section 2 of this functional bodybuilding strength, health, fitness, robustness, resilience, mindset session for men over the age of 30. Check this out. What's going on, guys? So main section hack number 2. We've done kind of the prime movers or the prime mover in the form of the incline bench press. That was very much, even though it's kind of incline, it's that middle ground between horizontal and vertical. Overall, I still class it as a horizontal movement. So I'm going to do some vertical push and pull now. But the main hack that I'm going to share with you now is basically to include in your accessory movements some unilateral work. Single arm, single leg. Obviously today is an upper body session, so we'll be doing some single arm work with both pushing overhead, like vertical push and vertical pull. And obviously the fact that we've gone away from the main mover and this is accessory work now, we're making sure that the reps go up slightly. So anywhere between kind of 8s and 15s. I like 8s personally because my background is in power. So for me, anything like 6s plus feels kind of hypertrophic. So I'll be going for some 8s. But what I'm also going to do is take advantage of the fact, because obviously single arm vertical pull work might be weird. You can do like a single arm lat pull down, but we're lucky enough to have a rope over there. So I'm actually going to do some arm over arm rope climbs and then control it on the way down. And then all I'm going to do is some half kneeling single arm overhead press. You're going to see both of these now, but obviously making sure as the reps go up and the fact that this is accessory, you want to be fit, you want to be healthy, you want to be lean, and like unilateral work does a hell of a lot to prevent injury and kind of build that mind-muscle connection and also work on physique and just kind of keeping symmetry and balance as well. So I'm going to do some ropes, I'm going to do some dumbbell overhead press, and because the reps are going up, we're going to bring the rest down a little bit and use it a little bit more like a circuit. Let's see how we get on. Right guys, just 2 rounds of the rope climbs and the overhead for me. Now moving on to the third, fourth, I don't even know where we are, but the final hack, our kind of functional strength session for men over the age of 30. And basically the way that I normally finish, again, as kind of the intensity goes down, the reps and volume go up. We saw that from kind of the incline bench over to the rope climbs and the overhead. And we're going to take that, we're going to continue that kind of staircasing 1 level deeper. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a giant set of a bicep exercise, a core, a tricep exercise, and a core. And now I'm working around 15. So again, you're seeing that the reps are going up, but this way is just, it's a phenomenal method to kind of get a little bit of an aerobic benefit as well, a little bit of an aerobic adaptation, because it's kind of a bit gassy, you're gonna be a little bit out of breath, but it's that fine balance because it's still it's like metabolic bodybuilding. So you're getting a bit of a pump on, you feel a localized burn, you are getting that hypertrophic benefit in the muscle groups that you're working. Obviously to include some decent core work in there is always a benefit anyway, but it's also a little bit gassy, which is just gonna give us that metabolic adaptation to kind of keep us nice and lean. So bicep exercise, core, tricep exercise, core, 3 rounds back to back. And again, that's another way that we get as much of a metabolic adaptation as we can, keeping the rest pretty much 0. Obviously 10 to 15 seconds is fine, but try and kind of take a couple of big deep breaths. Once you finish the 15th and final rep of a particular exercise, shake your shoulders off, kind of loosen off, and then straight into the next one. Let's see how we get on.
Are you ready to see somebody's need for speed? I can put our wings in the wind faster than you could ever believe. Are you ready to rock? Fun that don't ever stop. We are on a crash course of freedom that's running on as long as we want. Drive fast, let go. Hands up, wind blows. Soundtrack, stone cold. Sit back and turn it up, now here we go. Calling all my friends for a whole race. Revving up the engines, we ain't going nowhere, so fast cars and wild birds waking early to saying that it's never too soon. So are you ready to rock? Well, it don't ever stop. We are on a crash course of freedom, and we can go as long as we want. Yeah. Drop fast, let go. Hands up, wind blows. Soundtrack, stone cold. We sit back and turn it up. Like here we go. Calling all my friends from our house. Revving up the engines. We ain't going nowhere slow. Fast cars and wild hearts, a better life. Headed to the top, you see us. Trying to be the best, no secret. Never touch the brakes to keep it. Fast cars and wild hearts, a better life. Calling all my friends from our house.
Oh, beautiful people, that was spicy. I'm glad that is over. So, hope you enjoyed part 1, today's upper body session of my personally prescribed hacks and tips and tricks to stay fit and healthy, injury-free, robust, lean, strong, kind of aerobically fit and looking flipping good as well. If you're a man over the age of 30, a couple of things that you might need to change, or a couple of tiny little prescriptive pieces that make things a little bit easier. Keeping the warm-up nice and athletic, or at least including some athletic components and some ballistic components in the warm-up. That's the first thing we looked at. We then looked at eccentric tempo and introducing some pauses, so strict 4-second eccentric and some pauses on your main movement of the day, around 5 to 6 reps. And again, make sure you're counting correctly and not cheating yourself. And for me, any horizontal push, doing a horizontal pull first just helps my shoulder get in a nice strong position. We then looked at doing some unilateral stuff, so single leg, single arm. Obviously today is an upper body session, so a little bit of single arm work with some arm over arm legless rope climbs, and then some half kneeling Arnold press, single arm Arnold press basically. So vertical push and pull, but single arm again, just great for staving off injury. You know, it's great for your physique. It's great for kind of making sure the pace stays right. Great for your core as well, having to keep everything balanced. And then we looked at making sure there's a little bit of an aerobic stimulus in like some metabolic bodybuilding that we do at the end. 15s, biceps, core, triceps, core is a great one. So again, hope that makes sense. Any questions, put them down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, please do smash that like button. If you have not yet done so, make sure you subscribe. Lots of good content coming up. And for part 2, for my looking at things through a similar kind of lens, but for lower body, I'll be filming that tomorrow, so you guys should see that in a couple of days from when you're watching this now. As always, beautiful people, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I'll see you soon.